Right, so this afternoon I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something that has nothing to do with my job, really, my nephew. So for those of you who've come and joined me here in Baku today, thank you very much. I'm actually visiting today from London, but I'm not really from London. I'm from a small Scottish town on the last hill before the mountains in Scotland, a little town called Crieff. And all of my family are still up there in Scotland. They're not in London with me. And about 10 years ago, this photograph was taken of me and my little nephew, Ronan. Little baby Ronan, he's about 2 in that photograph. And who knew that Ronan was going to grow up in his rural country town in Scotland, so influenced by this gentleman, Dr. David Attenborough, Dr. Attenborough, as Ronan refers to him. And Ronan was really, really influenced by David Attenborough to the extent that he started to tell me a lot about David Attenborough and the things that David had taught Ronan. And he became really interested in climate change and climate action. So at COP26, he had influenced me so much that Open UK held an event at COP, and that event was for about 200 people. Now, I don't know if you remember COP26 3 years ago, 2021. We'd just come out of lockdown, and it was really difficult to get people in a room, but we took 85 people from London to my hometown in Scotland, an hour from Glasgow where COP26 was. And we were really lucky because there was a lot of youth action happening at that time. And amongst that youth action was the opening of our first Open Technology for Sustainability Day. So that Open Technology for Sustainability Day took place at COP26 in Glasgow, and we're going to have another one next year in Brazil. And Ronan, along with this little girl, were the opening speakers at that event. So he would be very cross if I didn't let COP29 hear him speak. We got any volume on the slides?
Overfishing, or just replacing old things with new things instead of bothering to fix them.
So he'll be absolutely delighted that he not only got to speak at COP26, but when I show him the recording, he also got to speak at COP29. Now, Ronan's activism led to this whole event. If he hadn't been chasing his auntie constantly and telling her that the planet was his for the future, we wouldn't have put that event on. And this is a photo not just of Ronan, but of his brother, his little brother, Rhys, because Rhys would be very annoyed if I was speaking at COP29 and he didn't get a mention as well. Rhys is not an activist. He's not a Greta Thunberg wannabe, but he is a gamer. And both of them are gamers. Now, in all of their activism, all the talk about sustainability, about the environment, what Ronan, like many young people today, don't realize is that it's not just plastic that is a problem. Data is becoming the next plastic. You see the game over? Well, it is going to be game over if we don't begin to understand our digital futures, our digital lives. And what Ronan has learned from me, as well as me learning from him about the environment, about the fact that the future of the planet is very much in the hands of the youth, is learning about data centers, data processing, and our digital personalities and digital lives. So
the data and internet allow us to access the apps and services on the phone. All the data that we use is generated in a data center. Data centers are places that use a lot of energy to process and compute, which allows our phones and devices to use data. We use data when we watch streamed content like Netflix on TV. Netflix also builds a lot of the software it uses to provide its services to us on open source software. The same is true for many other streaming services that provide video and sound content to us. Can you imagine how much data we all use, or even how much you use? When data centers process this data, they use a huge amount of energy. All the servers and other IT equipment that is used to make this in a data center gets really hot. Maybe you've seen a phone or a computer or other electrical device get hot from all the processing going on inside it. Processing all of this data requires energy. And most of our energy comes from burning coal and oil, known as fossil fuels. This is a problem for many reasons. Fossil fuels are not renewable. Once they are used, they're gone forever. When you burn fossil fuels, they release gases that pollute the air we breathe. Burning fossil fuels also raises the temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, which is harmful to people, plants, and animals. This is called climate change. Today, people have used up so much of the world's resources that we now have to take more care of it, now and in the future. We try to use renewable resources to generate power or energy in a way that is kinder to the planet. We try to use less of its finite fossil fuel resources and more of its infinite resources like sun, wind, and waves instead of coal and oil. We do this to help reduce the negative impact on the planet. We try to preserve the planet by doing this and by being more careful to ensure that we're using our resources in a sustainable way. The people who run data centers, which create all of our digital data to let us play games and chat, are all trying to make our data use less energy and use kinder ways to generate the energy.
So what you see here, what you've just heard, is from the Open UK Kids Camp, and it's based on the lessons that Ronan and I learned from each other. And we took that course and we were about to redistribute it in 2025. We took it to COP26 and we distributed it to 8,500 kids who were all given a free digital glove so that they could learn not only about digital, about how to code, but also about the consequences of code on the climate. And we also, for adults, did a data center blueprint, which looks at how open technology for sustainability can reduce carbon emissions by up to 70% in data centers. So what I'll leave you with is the concept that you can learn both ways, from a child and from an adult. There can be a mutual exchange that can be really beneficial and impactful. And that we will be discussing this further at COP30, where we'll be picking up on the Green Digital Declaration, which is being signed tomorrow by a number of countries and tech companies, including Open UK. And we'll be taking the lessons learned from Ronan about the need for a sustainable future and the concerns of climate action and climate change. And we'll be putting those into actionable outputs that adults can take forward to help support the future, based on the lessons we've learned from the youth of today. So thank you very much for joining me.